one of those days. One of those weeks.
Just one of those.
Y'all got to take care of yourself. It's memory leak.
That's
We're back
true.
at you.
Memory leak. Back at it fucking again. I know you all listen to it because Min, you fucking told me, you asked me what the meaning of the title of the last episode was. So whatever the title of this one is, you can ponder that too.
Fun fact, we actually don't come up with the titles of these
We don't come up with the
episodes.
titles, and
Or the
I don't even listen
descriptions.
to them after the fact. We record and we send. We don't listen to it.
That's all
unless-
editing.
Yeah.
We're not the visionaries behind this. For all we know, AI, Colonel Campbell, could be
Yeah,
dictating
for
what we're
real.
saying.
Mhm.
The nano machines are preventing me from saying certain things.
Yeah, the nano machines.
They're
are preventing
creating
me from saying that.
context.
I mean, they're preventing me from saying the place that I'm working at right now. Every time I try to say it, I end up saying lolly lule lo. So unless it doesn't get edited out, in which case, oops, I lied.
But anyway,
Yeah. What the fuck?
I'm Benjamin, Bible Thump to Benjamin.
Oh my god. And I'm Geron. Pepe emotes are banned, Geron. And
What are
I'm
we
drinking
here?
a delicious, no sugar, no calories drink
Swill,
that was given to me.
poison, toxicity.
What are we talking about today, man? It seemed like you were excited to talk about fucking something. Because me?
I've been gaming.
No, me? I don't have much stewing in here today. I'm just
It's all right. I mean,
living free,
yeah.
thinking about buying games I can't play. That's just what's going on with me now. I don't know why. I'm sitting here like, oh, maybe I should just buy Xenoblade 2. I'm not going to play it, but maybe I should just have it.
Xenoblade 2 is pretty good.
I know it's pretty good.
The
And
third act justifies playing the game.
Yeah,
I
see,
will say.
I want it physically so I don't have it like looking at me on the Switch home screen saying like, why didn't you play me?
That's
But
fair.
it's hard to find a new copy physically, and I don't want to buy used unused Switch games because I'm fucking weird.
That's fine.
Like I mean, you already said I probably have the big A this week, so look, a friend of ours. You know
Damn, that
who you are.
affected you.
It did affect me. A friend of ours tried to. I'm looking for tabbed Maxell coin battery. You know, CR20.
Yeah, you went through a deep clean recently.
Yeah, and I want to replace some of the batteries in my N64. I said I wouldn't have anything to talk about, but here we are. Some of the batteries in my N64 games that
You're
use
keeping them
batteries to
going.
save. But see, I'm
I'm
really
surprised they
playing
ran out. Do they run out from playing them, or do they just run
They
out?
run out. They just run out.
I mean, I know generally how batteries work, but I have Super
Yeah.
Nintendo games that are older than N64 games that are
yes,
still
I mean,
kicking it.
It just depends on the
Just how the
depends on
battery-
depends on the battery. Some of the games, like my copy of Smash Brothers, doesn't save anymore. My copy of Ocarina of Time saves for a while, and then it starts crashing, and then it loses the save.
Interesting.
And then and I know it's crashing because it gives me the little yellow line and the little yellow underscore in the top
Yeah.
left corner when you do a button code and you can see what the error was. And
Here's a question:
yeah,
How come nobody's invented the equivalent?
the infinite bet. No, I'm gonna go.
No, the equivalent of like an N64 FPGA type machine that will read the game but then keep the saves on a local thing. You know what I'm saying? Like on an SD card.
I know what you're saying, and I think
It
that
almost like combining
like a flash card,
like a flash card and the what's the thing where you can flash the cards onto your PC. You
what-
rip the games.
Yeah, what the fuck was the one I was called? The Retrode?
Yeah, retro.
Something like that. Yeah,
Combining those things.
I think that does exist.
That's
Really?
good.
Um,
Well, then I'm glad somebody thought of it.
if it doesn't exist, it's probably a good reason. It might be because the game itself needs to read the save from
It's PCB.
its chip. Yeah,
Yeah.
The chip on its board. Because if it doesn't, it probably just doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. How frequently do you go through the deep clean and test all your games?
Not very.
Once a year?
Not even once a year. I think it might be. Over the span of 2 years, I will have tested everything, and then another 2 years will pass, and I'll do it again.
That's probably about where I'm at with my
double
Super
slowly,
Nintendo.
Just kind of pull stuff out and
Super
check
Nintendo shit.
And the only ones I really care about are the N64 games because those are the ones I was really playing when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's the same with me and Super Nintendo.
Yeah, the ones that have the save like Genesis games don't fucking have save batteries outside of a few.
Right.
And most of the sports games for some goddamn reason. But like, my point was I was looking for tab batteries, and somebody posted in the group chat the batteries that I've seen multiple times, and those batteries don't have tabs on them, and I specifically want tabs. And the my affliction is that I really, not really, but I honestly dislike getting help if I didn't ask for it because it's like it's not offensive to me, but my brain takes offense to it. If you know what I mean.
Oh, I deal with a lot of people like that.
Okay.
So yes, I do know what you mean.
And it's not anyone's fault or anything. It's just like.
It's like you assume I haven't checked that.
Yeah, like you think I haven't. You think I'm saying this because I haven't looked. I've looked. If this you just snapping the answer in front of me, what you think is the answer in front of me is like, no, incorrect, wrong. Sorry, I already found this, and it's hard for me to put it nicely because not everybody is in my head. I know that, but again, like I said, I mean, really, I might have the big A. That's just how it is.
No. That's less. I didn't understand that whole thought process. That actually makes a lot more sense than the way I was interpreting it.
Yeah, okay.
It's all good.
But whatever, I ended up with $30.
It's true.
Do you want that money back?
No.
Really? Okay.
It's fine.
All right.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself to one of the rare game cases.
One of the what?
Rare games in the game case.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm
not going to do that. I'm very specific. No, I don't like stealing. You already know. No, I don't like piracy, but I don't like stealing shit. That ain't good. I'm not going to treat myself to something.
It's pretty fucking funny to me though.
But
oh man.
Right.
Anyway, I've been playing various games. A lot of good shit coming out in the past week or two, especially in the indie sphere.
Yeah, if you
fucking Hades 2.
Yeah, if you can take
fucking
indie
Animal
games,
Well.
yeah.
Fucking Balatro. I finally started touching.
Balatro. Yeah.
Balatro's the perfect it's to me what an idle game is to other people. It's not an idle game at all.
I know it's not.
I play it like an idle game. Whereas a lot of people will go fucking big A on it.
Yeah.
Because you can. It's kind of combines poker, but with 3 layers to it.
Is it poker or is it a fucking Tech Building 21?
It starts as poker.
Yeah.
But also has tarot cards and planet cards and bonus cards. And then you can also upgrade the playing cards and add more cards to the deck or remove cards. So it fucks up. It starts as poker, but it's not fucking poker at all.
I feel like it's the flavor it's the feeling that people get from some of the mini games in like Triple Triad and shit. I guess it's not the same rules, but the feeling people get from that.
Yeah,
it's from this kind
just
of game.
Something about just the clicking of the cards, the noise it makes when it cashes in. It's got the whole poker, flash poker. What's it called when you play online poker? There's a word for those types of poker games, but it hits all the same dopamine receptors of those things cashing in without it being tied to gambling.
Yeah,
and it just it sounds good, it feels good. You don't it's an 8-round roguelike, and if you want to try hard and maximize and think about odds and probabilities and a strategy, that's how most people play the game.
Yeah.
I'm playing the game while I'm on work meetings, and I'm just clicking shit. And I'm playing. I'm oh, there's a hand. Oh, discard. Oh, discard. I'm just not even thinking about it. But it feels nice.
Okay.
And then things happen.
Okay, I understand.
I beat a run today.
It's one of those kind of games that, I mean, you just described it, but
it's a comfort
you see
game
somebody
almost.
just kind of sitting in the DMV.
It's the
it's
our editor's mom playing Floral Fields or whatever it's called.
Yeah. There you go. Well, fucking Bloomin'
Fields,
Gardens
something
or whatever.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And then you get good at it by accident.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't
just
even
by
realize
sheer
she's
numbers.
good at it.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't. I don't know if she understands that we have tried the game, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh, yeah. She would never be able to articulate why her high score is so high. All she knows is that there's a number on the screen.
All she knows is the number gets bigger when she does this thing. I'm like, God damn, okay.
Yeah, so that to me is how I play Balatro, and that's a cool game. Hades 2.
But do you have Balatro on your Steam Deck? On Steam or on Switch?
I have it on Steam, but I'd play it on my computer instead of on the Steam Deck itself.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to play it.
Just because I have my personal best desktop monitor right next to my work monitor.
Yeah. Okay,
so I'll just
that
be
makes
clicking
sense.
on that while I'm on calls talking to people, and they won't realize I'm not looking at them.
Yeah. You just. But see, my question was going to be like, does it utilize the touchscreen in a way that makes sense for a card game?
It probably would. I mean, there's
on
a
Steam
mouse.
Deck,
So.
that's what I'm saying. You could just use the touchscreen as the mouse.
I've had my Steam Deck hooked up to the dock, so I've been playing controller on everything. But it has controller mode where it's like you move the left stick and it acts like a mouse.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel that good. Which is why I guess you can press the directional buttons and it'll
go
highlight.
snap to options.
Yeah, it'll snap.
Can you one-hand
so it's
again?
fine. I don't think you can one-hand it.
Okay.
Which makes it just like it's a really good mouse game.
Interesting.
It's probably I imagine it's touchscreen compatible on the Switch.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine,
be
because then you could
surprised
just
if
kind
it
of
wasn't.
stand it up or set it down and just kind of.
They just enable like mouse as touchscreen or fucking whatever it is.
Is it on PS5 and Xbox?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's on everything.
Okay.
There's no reason
for it
wouldn't.
not to be. It's probably on 3DS.
They make it for a controller. They might as well. Like there's no. I don't even think there's like button icons. If I can't remember.
It just has the little diamond shaped thing with the highlights, or it doesn't even have that.
I can't remember. I haven't played enough on controller to recall.
Because randomly, Dissidia NT had the button icons in place.
That's funny.
And I was like, huh. It's not a best. I think that's a pretty good way to do it because there's multiple controllers and multiple controls.
You don't even have to go through the trouble of programming different button configurations.
Yeah, you don't have to. You just don't even have to do the icons. Just say which button is confirm and which one is
confirm
back.
button, back button.
Okay, so this is the controller you're going to be using. All right.
Yep.
So I'm going to throw my phone over you. If I hit you, I'm sorry. Okay.
You've grown.
What happened?
I never would have thought you would have thrown your phone.
I throw my phone over there every time, almost every time I'm here.
That's funny.
Yeah. You're just not thinking about it, but it's a soft bed that I'm throwing it over.
It is a soft bed.
If you're curious, the room that we're recording in is actually
it's a big white room.
It's a big white room. There's big windows and there's a bed here, and there's a reason for it.
A lot of people can see us. Live studio audience.
Can I explain what this room is used for?
Yeah.
This is the room that's rented out.
Yep.
For photo taking. And when you think of a bed and photos, you're like, oh hell yeah, they be taking them crazy photos up in here, yeah. They be taking them, but that's just.
There's no blinds, so I suspect people aren't taking crazy photos.
I mean, maybe they are.
They can be seen from the street.
Maybe they are. I'm sure there's exhibitionists that show up in here. I'm sure that bed has juices on it.
I do see a lot of kids walking in.
Oh, okay.
Not in a weird way.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying maybe not, because there was a couple here with babies here. I remember. So yeah, it's just a room rented out to be a photo studio.
Yeah. It's a studio. We're recording in a studio.
We're literally recording in a studio, though our setup is a little ghetto.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! We taking a funny photo. Okay, so Balatro.
Balatro's good. Hades 2 is good.
Hades 2.
They did a good job of, doing their version of a sequel, which is just add a shit ton of shit, switch some stuff up. Like they switched up how dashes work. They switched up how like specials and just like the button configuration, different character, different areas, different enemies, different bosses. Like but it is still very much a sequel in the story too.
Oh, I was going to ask.
They allude to the characters from the first game who are not showing up, and they're like, "Oh, we have to go and help them or whatever."
Oh,
I think
okay.
You're playing as Zagreus' sister.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So, Melinoe. Melinoe.
I don't fucking So do you think it's been worth it for them for Supergiant to break their rule of making sequels where they don't do it?
I would say yes. I think it's clear that they've had enough ideas, just like with the different weapons and the different things. It's like, I guess they could have done DLC, but DLC just would have made it like a bloated game.
Yeah, I don't think DLC is necessary.
Like, there's enough in there that it's like, it's why they did Tears of the Kingdom type shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot going on. Like, there's a lot of areas. Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas, a lot of things that synergize, a lot of new ideas.
The what's it called? So would you say that from what you've played of Hades 2 now, do you think it usurps Hades, or do you think
I don't think it replaces Hades. It stands next to it.
Okay, so Hades is still a very
Hades is still
necessary
worth playing.
game. No, not necessary. But
I wouldn't
game
say
that
necessary, but
worth
it is
playing.
it is worth playing
And then
still.
Hades 2,
Yeah.
as it is right now,
They're
it's
different
early
games.
Early access is the early access like complete.
It's pretty much
Is it
complete.
pretty
It's
much
the most
complete, like a
complete
complete
early
game?
access
Okay.
I've played.
Okay.
I think they said that there are some art assets, like character profiles, that are
not
unfinished,
complete, yeah,
but they all look good. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Like some of them have a little more depth and detail.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're talking about. Like there's no like there are a few placeholders for like the really small art assets, like the accessories that like show up in a little bit in the corner.
Yeah, fair.
So there's like a few things like that, but nothing is broken or buggy or like weird about it. Like it doesn't feel unfinished. It feels like a finished game.
So it's basically the game. It's just
I think it's like version 0.91 or something.
I mean version a lot of
for whatever that means.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of games don't go the conventional route of version numbers.
They did mention that like in terms of volume of content. I don't remember how they measured volume or content, but they basically said that it has already surpassed Hades 1 in terms of how much is in the game.
Okay.
Even though it's considered early access.
Yeah.
I think they really just wanted to get people's hands on it, considering there's a lot more going on and it's a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, a lot of it comes down to the roguelike nature of how all these things interact. They want to see if anything's going to be like flat out broken or flat out like not worth it. Like both ends of the balanced spectrum.
I have a question. I've never bought a game in early access. So when you buy this game right now, are you paying the same price that people who will be buying it when the game releases will be paying? Or
I think time probably will tell. My guess would be yes. If not, they might increase the price.
Okay. See,
I would suspect they will probably increase the price, even though the early access is more expensive now than Hades 1 was at launch.
Okay, because my thing is early access and getting a lot of the bug, like a lot of feedback from players is valuable, like really valuable. That's something you would hire a QA team to do, and sometimes you don't get any outside information about it until you put the game on sale. And doing it as early access, I think, should reward the people that are buying it now and dealing with, what amounts to an early version, not the final version that people will be buying on day one release, whatever. And I think rewarding them with a lower price to start with, and then allowing them to keep the game as it comes out, should be the way it is.
It feels like that's the route it's going.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much the route that stuff like, Shovel Knight, even Shovel Knight was never early access, but it was like if you bought Shovel Knight at launch, you got all the subsequent DLC for free. Yeah. Whereas when they relaunched it as Treasure Trove at like 3 or 4 times the price,
exactly, yeah.
Then it's like, okay, now that you're like just buying it for the first time, you're going to pay for all the hard
all
work.
of it, or you can buy it piecemeal, but you're going to be paying all of it.
Yeah, you're paying more than people paid when they first jumped on.
It's still baffling that I bought that game on Wii U, and every time I'd go back and turn my Wii U
got
on,
more shit on it.
Oh shit, there's an update for Shovel Knight.
Yeah,
it's like, too bad it's here. I wish I could transfer that license over, but that's not here nor there.
Saw a video today of a woman that spent $2,500 on a virtual library for like a streaming service for movies.
Yeah.
And they were like, ooh, actually, we're going out of business. We're going to transfer all of your licenses over to this other company, but you have to pay $100 to use their hardware to access it. So it was like, well, you don't, it's kind of like you lose all of your shit unless you like pay the money. And she made a big stink, and they're like, oh, we'll give you one for free. Yeah. So like they were nice to her about it, but it's also like kind of the principle of the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not the topic we're here to talk about.
She
but
paying all that shit. I'm sure she was good for that money. But yeah, the principle of it is,
I think it was over like the course of several years.
Yeah,
it wasn't like she dropped $2,000 on a streaming service.
Yeah, if you, a situation where you literally cannot access the stuff you paid for at all, like.
Yeah, that's
having it locally to back up for yourself so you can use it on whatever you want after the service goes down. That sucks.
Yeah.
Like the Wii Virtual Console hasn't even gone all the way down yet. You can still re-download shit, but eventually that's going to go away, I'm sure. Speaking of which, did you see the Sakurai video that came out today about
keeping games
setup?
Collected?
Yeah,
I didn't see the video yet, but I saw that he posted it.
He spends like 15 minutes, not 15. He spends a bunch of time talking about how everything is organized and the labels and everything is put on everything. He's like, I don't really have attachment to physical things though. I was like, you sure about that, dude? But
I think he's maybe saying how he wishes he felt.
yeah, in the same video, he does say like he bought almost all the virtual console games on Wii, and he just has a couple of SD cards with everything on it. Just like that is cool to me.
Yeah.
Having bought all that stuff and then just have it on
your backups.
SD cards just waiting to be used, though. You know, you got to periodically back up your backups because if you don't,
because those degrade.
Those degrade. The data degrades, especially if you're not using it. But you know, that's not here nor there. A little bit relevant to my checking in on all my old games, though.
Yeah,
I will say.
Yeah, it's funny.
Especially since a couple of years ago. Was it a couple? Or was it a year ago? A while back, I backed up all my games with a retro and whatnot. But so okay. Anything else you've been?
Yeah, last game that I beat was Animal Well.
Oh yeah, Animal Well. Yeah.
Animal Well, Donkey's game.
Yeah, the game Donkey's company released. That's right.
The game that Donkey himself made by himself.
That's not fucking true.
No, it was something Basso, Chris Basso, I think was his name, something like that. It's bad that I don't even remember it. It's not good.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but
let's be honest. I imagine he probably got a lot more sales by attaching himself to Donkey.
100% got more sales by being attached.
Donkey got his trailers released on Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of marketing that dude got out of it.
And he made sure he made sure to just blast the fact that he had a project going,
right.
Like that. This was something that Big Mode being the publishing company that he runs now. Being something that they're working on. Not to mention, I saw someone make the comment like he spends a lot of time kind of roasting games when they do silly shit, and then like, oh well, he kind of backed it up by getting behind a game that is well regarded. Right. I was like, oh okay, well,
yeah,
maybe at least there's some proof that he can see something in things like that.
Yeah, he has good taste or something like
that. Something like that. At least can push for a certain way for a game to be made to make. I mean,
I would imagine there's definitely value to having somebody in a decision-making capacity that at least has like passion and a deep like regard for critique of games.
Yeah.
You know, like I valued Roger Ebert's opinion on pretty much every movie he watched, even if I didn't always agree with it.
Yeah.
Just because I really liked the way that he articulated himself and the things that he was looking for. Like he was a known like hater of David Lynch.
Yeah.
But he gave Mulholland Drive 4 out of 4 stars because he's like, it's unabashedly David Lynch and I can understand the insanity. It's like it just like he writes this review in a way that like it itself is almost like a novella. Like I loved the way that he reviewed shit. And because of that, I would have trusted if he had become some kind of like movie producer. Like if he saw a rough cut or a draft, I imagine somebody like him would be able to like discern the wheat from the chaff, so to speak.
And I'll say not a lot of game reviewers are actually like that.
No, it's true. Just the fact that you can blast out something and resonate with people doesn't have anything to do with like your ability to make prude business decisions.
Yeah,
but
I think one feeds the other. If you can make the decisions to understand how a game is made and the process for getting it out, then I think that you have a little bit more say in critique when it comes around to it.
Right.
But because you have that critique, I think you have a little bit more pull when it comes to making a game work and getting it out.
That's
so
right.
both of those feed themselves. If you only have done the critiquing, not that you're less valuable as a critic, but you might be less informed.
I think the key here
critiques about something. Go ahead.
I think the key here again is the fact that he's producing and not making a game himself.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is what people confuse.
Yeah.
I feel like in the past there would be all these discussions like, oh my God, this guy knows games really well. He should make his own game.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I would be curious to know what level of involvement he had in the development. Like, did he test the game?
I'm
had
sure
to
he
have
play
seen
tested
it,
something.
or on some level.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to understand that, and I'd be curious to almost hear. I don't know if this guy, the developer, had ever worked at a large firm, but I'd be curious to hear if like Donkey knew what the process was like, even like the production process and the
Yeah.
publishing process, and how that would compare and contrast from like the big studios that are run more classically in, you know, corporate hierarchy and
Yeah.
structure and things like that. Because it's interesting, you know. I mean, it seems like a spectrum. You know, on the one hand, you've got the gamers of the world that like know what they want, and they can recognize innovation. You know, Donkey is kind of like, he's like that. You know, he likes to like fuck with games that have like a big sort of
They
playground
have some
feel
kind
to
of
them.
something.
And
Yeah.
then on the other hand of the spectrum, you have just like pure Wall Street investment banking business
Yeah.
types. They can understand operations. They can understand, you know, cost of labor, things like that. They might not know, you know, their dick from their ass in terms of what
Jesus Christ.
what makes like a quote innovative or good game. You know, if somebody
Yeah.
puts a new idea in front of them, they're not going to be able to understand if it's going to land or not.
Right, and like, I can't blame them for that, but at the
No,
same
I mean,
time, it's
for
like,
sure, and that's going to happen to everybody.
That's
People are
what
going
I'm
to pass
saying.
on ideas that are good and accept ideas that are bad because it's you know, you can't read the future.
you can't read the future, and some people are make decisions based on the safety of it. Like they
Right,
see
of
something
course.
working for somebody else,
Especially
so it's like, if that's
nowadays.
not if we're not doing what's working for someone else, it's not going to work for us. But that's usually a fuck up because we get a lot of games as service game. We get a lot of service games, I should say, not Sega, service games. But we get a lot of games that are like that, and they get shut down in a year or two because there's a misunderstanding that the game just being that does not mean money is going to come in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's time and place and luck. It's a lot of that, and there's
Right.
not really much you can do to affect that. So sometimes it's beneficial to just kind of overshoot what you think is a safe idea and just go past that and put something out, see what happens, and you end up with an Apex maybe.
Yeah, and kind of relevant
Apex
to other recent game news. Somebody was putting out an interview with some of the Rockstar devs from back from 2000
Yeah.
or 2001, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they were in a meeting with Xbox for the original Xbox, talking through their pitch for a game, and it was fucking the pitch for Grand Theft Auto 3, and the Xbox execs, which I think Phil was there at
Was
the
he
time.
there?
I think he was at least involved. He might not have been the head of Xbox Game Studios or
I don't know where.
Microsoft
I don't
Game
remember
Studios.
where he came from.
But they were just talking about how all the heads of Xbox were like, this game's not going to be able to make the 3D transition. Like, it's just...
Oh,
like,
they didn't think Grand Theft Auto was going to
No,
be able
they
to
didn't
handle
think
it. I
Grand
didn't
Theft
know
Auto
that.
3 was going to be a good idea, and
That's
they passed on it.
interesting,
They
because
straight up passed on it.
They had a like demonstration with Body Harvest. They could have been just like, Body Harvest exists. This was us trying to do vehicles in 3D.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So it's funny.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't blame them for thinking that either. A lot of people don't think something like that is going to transition to 3D until it does.
Right.
You know, like
I
fucking,
mean, even Sonic, I would argue,
Sonic?
struggled to make the jump to 3D.
yeah, Sonic. I think Sonic honestly never actually made it to 3D. I don't think there is a Sonic game that's like genuinely great as a 3D game.
Yeah.
I think the ones that people like that have 3D sections in them are games that either play just like 2D games, but the camera's behind Sonic instead of in front of him, or the game really is just a 2D Sonic with 3D graphics. Like Sonic Generations has the game is so short that you have so little time to like
Yeah,
be
and
stuck in the 3D
it's not
sections.
real. It's not real 3D in the sense that other games jumping
Yeah,
to 3D
it's
made. Like
very
I
much
feel
on
like
rails.
free camera is kind of an element here.
Yeah,
And none of them really have free camera, and when they do, it fucks the
it's
game
fucked
up,
up.
bad.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Even if you're not going very fast, the camera's kind of fucked up. Like, and sometimes you have to change a lot to get from 2D to 3D. Like Metroid had to change a lot, and then when it went to being a normal third-person adventure game, people fucking acted like they hated it.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so Animal Wild, it's an interesting game. You know, time will tell if Donkey's, eye for this is
Yeah.
beginner's luck or if he's actually got something.
Yeah.
But Animal Wild's good. It's interesting. It's different. It's positioned as a Metroidvania game, but I would not say that it's a Metroidvania
Yeah.
game. This actually goes back to one of our first episodes where we talk about the term Metroidvania
Yeah.
and how it's like not a very good term.
it's not. Yeah, it's not a.
Because
great
one of the
descriptor.
big
Exactly.
hallmarks of Metroidvania games, what's the fucking term that people always use? Action something, action platformer. There's like a word that people would use before Metroidvania as a term existed. You know what I'm talking about?
Before that, I mean,
is like instead they tried to generalize it outside
there's
of like
there's
brand
action
names.
adventure and no, but yeah.
I'm pissed.
There's some dude
Now I
that
have
came
to
up with
look it up.
search action, but that's not real.
Search action,
That's
I think, is
not
what I
real.
was thinking of.
Yeah, that was made up by.
Yeah.
That was made up by fucking Matt McMuscles.
Well, regardless, action
okay.
is usually a core part of it, whether
Yeah.
you're attacking or doing something, which this game has none of.
Okay.
This game is purely like a passive puzzle game.
It doesn't even have like movement.
It has movement,
Yeah.
but it's not an action game.
Okay,
There's no
interesting.
attack.
Well, you
There-
don't have to attack. Like movement can be is the action.
I guess. I mean, there are platforming segments. The focus is very much on the puzzle, and once you
Okay.
figure the puzzle out, like that's it. You did
Okay.
it.
That's,
you beat the
move
room.
on. Okay.
But what I realized as I was going through the game, a part of the charm of it, it's a very unsettling game. Like there's cute animals in it, but like there's an eeriness to them. They're
Yeah.
like a lot of them are trying to like eat or kill you.
Yeah.
You're like not really an animal. You're like this like
You're like a blob. This
yeah, like a
amorphous
primordial
thing. Yeah.
like
froth.
amoeba of some
Yeah.
kind. And you're just kind of like navigating the world. They never really explain what you are.
Okay.
You're just kind of in the animal well, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Um,
yeah.
So you're navigating through this weird, somewhat hostile place. The music's kind of like creepy to a degree. It's just kind of a weird game, but like all the items that you use are very like innocuous, common household things.
Okay.
They're not like normal Metroidvania things. There's no double jump. There's
double
no
jump, there's no float.
There's no float. There's
Yeah.
nothing like that. Everything that you use is some kind of like household object, like a slinky or a yo-yo or a frisbee,
okay.
like shit like that.
Yeah.
And there's like multiple uses for a lot of them. There's like some of them have like advanced like mechanics that you almost like have to stumble upon. You're like, oh shit, that's a thing I can do.
This has another use that's like this.
Yeah,
It's
and some of them are like so advanced that like they're not required to be the game, but they're required to get some of like the
Like
secrets,
speed
and they're like
secret,
nearly
okay.
frame perfect in their
Interesting.
execution.
Yeah.
But they like rapidly increase how you can move around like
Yeah.
efficiently. So there's some cool mastery of the mechanics
Okay.
at play. But what's cool is that like there's sort of 4 main areas that you have to beat.
Yeah.
And then you go to the final area. But the 4 areas can be done completely interchangeably,
okay.
which reminded me of Link Between Worlds.
Yeah. Okay.
How it's like, oh, you just pick the item you want and then you go to that area and do it.
And then make it. Yeah.
Except this goes a step further where you don't have to even pick
Take-
an item first. You can just go to any of these areas, and at some point during that area, you get the item for that
You'll
area.
Probably get the item. Yeah.
But you can still do anything in any order.
Okay.
And I realized going through this, I was like, holy shit, like the fact that I can navigate a lot of these things and there's like things specific to certain items, it's like this must have really been thoroughly tested.
Yeah.
Like-
It's very.
Like I can do this section because I have these 2 items, but there's probably
Yeah.
other ways to navigate this section.
To set up something like that and not make it too easy or too hard is difficult.
It was pretty impressive. I mean, it helps that there's really only kind of 4 key movement items.
Okay. Yeah. That's
So
probably
it's limited scope.
very.
There's
Yeah.
8 total items you can
Okay.
get. One of which is only at the end of the game and is like
Yeah.
even more passive. But it's the way everything kind of like clicks together in like a small cohesive package is very satisfying. It's a good
Okay.
game.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I haven't played it, so I can't say much
No, it's
about
all
it.
right.
Oops. But
I just wanted to talk about the comparison
Yeah.
between Link Between Worlds and how some
yeah.
Zelda games, some Metroid games, some Castlevania games have tried to like take this approach. They're always like a little bit half-hearted in their like nature, trying to keep it truly open instead of have like a set order that you do things in.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very admirable that one guy was able to kind of like put this together.
That makes me think of Super Mario Land 2, where you can kind of go to each of the worlds as you desire.
Right.
But a lot of the time, I was saying this a second ago. A lot of time, what happens with games like that is each of the areas is a little too easy because they need to assume that it's the first one you went to.
Right.
And on the other hand, you can make them all too hard, and you have a situation where it's like, well, I need to practice each of these fucking worlds. So which one do I hate the least? So you end like which one am I struggling in the least?
Yeah, there's like the death system,
Yeah.
which I think that's actually one probably criticism I have is I think deaths can be a little too punishing. I think they could have benefited from a little bit more of like a checkpointing system rather than just relying on where you saved.
Yeah. I mean,
But like it's fine.
The game's not long,
It's
though.
fine.
You know
It's
what I mean?
not-
That
it's not
that's
long.
probably it increases the
Yeah.
amount of playtime you
Right.
get out of it. You know,
Right.
So, but yeah, fucking Mario Land 2. The last thing that happens though is with all those games, the last world you go to then assumes that you've done all the other worlds. So it's like a fucking difficulty spike.
Yeah.
That's it's appropriate, I guess, but you don't. You're not gradually pushed into it because all the other levels are getting easier.
Right.
Because you're getting more experience. So when you get to this difficulty spike, you spend a lot of time in this last level, and if this last level or last boss fight or whatever is not the most fun.
That was actually something
Then
I
you end
always
up-
disliked about the Mega Man games too.
Oh yeah, the Mega Man games do that. Though those have the like a lot of them is like, which of these levels do I hate the least?
It's
kind of
very much
situation.
like that, and
And then once
it
you
always
figure it
just
out-
kind of felt like I was like just wasting my time if I didn't know the right order.
If we
to
didn't
do
know the
things in.
order, yeah, because you struggle through something, get to the boss, have nothing but the
Your
the
pellet.
regular gun,
Yeah.
and you're like, this really just isn't doing enough damage. They
Yeah.
want me to hear with the with the poop launcher, where the fuck it is. And then by the time you get to doing that level again, you probably have more experience, so it's easier. But it's like, god damn. Though that is exactly how you extend the playtime, the
Yes.
value of the game by
especially older games like that.
by making you kind of experiment and practice, and then you get good at it, and then you finally beat it, and you're like, okay. And
Yeah.
then maybe you play it again with the knowledge, so you can just be like, oh, I can do this in an hour instead of 5.
I do think for a game that was like 5 hours to like quote unquote beat or
Yeah.
like see the credits of, even though there's like a whole post game situation to
Yeah.
explore. I want more games that length. Like, it's nice to just have a game that comes out on a Friday. You can beat it over the course of 1 to
Yep.
2 days as
Yeah.
you see fit, and like move on.
Yeah.
That's a nice feeling.
That
And
is-
we need more of that, as the industry is clearly showing us.
Yeah,
Like, that's the path to sustainability, probably.
Even if you're gonna do the games with the high fidelity visuals and everything, it doesn't. You can my understanding is Hellblade 2 is probably gonna be really short,
Yeah.
and people are gonna complain about it. I can guarantee that. But
Is it going to be, you think it's going to be 60? Because Hellblade 1 was
I think
only...
it's 40.
Yeah, Hellblade 1
think
was 40.
Yeah, I think Hellblade 2 is 40. I think
Oh, that's
you can,
good.
I think you can just check the price now. But
Oh, yeah, because it comes out like...
it comes out in a couple weeks,
Yeah,
if
like
not
real
a
soon.
week, maybe a week. Preloading is up already.
That's probably a week then.
But
Yeah, 5 days.
oh yeah, there you go. The game, the first game was very short, but I remember it looking nice. I remember enjoying it.
The first one's great.
It's like whatever.
I need to beat it. but-
4, 5, 6 hour games are very valuable to me, especially when you consider that a lot of these games go on sale, so you get them for like $5 eventually, and then it's very low committal. You can get a full experience for a couple bucks. I think that makes more sense for the way the industry is right now, instead of trying to chase these. Like some games can be 100 hours, fine, but not all of them need to be these 50-hour experiences. Not all of them need to try to stretch to be 50 hours.
It's 50, by the way,
Especially-
not 40.
It's 50. Okay, well, it's not 70,
Right.
but damn, 50's a lot still.
Yeah, I know. I will say Animal Well
It's like 30 though.
was like 25,
Oh, okay.
which is a lot
Still
for a
plenty,
$5 game.
Yeah, like Hollow Knight, I'm impressed, is a $15 game. It's $15 even.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight is... There's a reason why it's such a rabid fan base. The game is
Yeah.
very good. There's
Yeah.
more... It's one of the few games that I enjoyed a lot, to the point where I probably would have 100%ed it. Like, I wanted to touch everything. But there's just so much that, like, I just, like... I couldn't.
Yeah.
I literally was like, I'm comfortable with what
With
I've touched
where
now,
it's-
and I'm
yeah.
gonna let the rest go.
The funny look. So Hollow Knight, unfortunately, I can't ever. It never works for me.
That's fine.
Every time I try to play it, I don't own it, but every time I've tried to play it via Game Pass or whatever, I'm just like, something about this.
I'm kind of surprised. I will say
really like-
the game feels kind of weird and clunky when you first touch it.
It
It benefits from like getting the shit. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
You get all the shit, and you can start kind of flying around, bouncing off shit, like moving and
Yeah.
zooming, and
but I like this is gonna sound fucking shallow or vapid or whatever. Not vapid, but and I hate feeling this way, but I also really don't like the way it looks.
oh, that's totally.
I think the
fine.
game is
Yeah.
fucking oogly.
Yeah,
I know people think it's
kind of flash
but
gamey.
It's very flash gamey. It's not even just that. I just think I've never really liked the artwork. The little health bar in the top left looks like a weird head with hair.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of little things that add up, and then not to mention that.
I mean, that's totally.
The
I think more people should accept the fact that they're just certain popular games aren't for them.
Yeah, like the Souls influence really makes me not want to fucking.
Yeah, no, that is my least favorite part of the game.
I don't think I have energy for that in that kind of game.
Yeah.
So it's just like I hope Silk Song comes out, but I can't say that I'm particularly excited for it either.
And that's fine.
Which
that's
honestly,
how I am with Dark Souls
probably
games.
good for me because at least I'm not the one sitting here. I don't have Metroid Prime 4 and that
right
on the back of my fucking head.
No, it's true. And then,
as my time and energy to play games dwindles and dwindles.
It's funny because that's like I think a lot of people are struggling with the fact that like Animal Well is not the kind of game for a lot of people. Because like it'll show up like in the Metroidvania subreddit or whatever, and like constantly people are posting new threads like is it just me or is this game not that good? Why is my not liking this game?
Yeah.
And like normal reasonable people are always at the top being like, dude, it's like it's okay for you to not like every single Metroidvania game to come out.
Because then there's so fucking many that come out.
Fucking Prince of Persia Lost Crown was like 2 months ago. It was January,
4
but
months
it's
ago.
like a couple months ago. That game's good as shit. It's like a standard, very standard Metroidvania, very safe.
The what made me feel something for that game is the combat, like the action gamey Devil May Cry style. Launch the enemy.
It's a very different kind
of
game.
Okay, yeah. This is good. And in this context, this is something. It's something I feel like I would make.
Yeah,
if I were to make something like that,
Yeah.
every time I think about something like that, it's like
I could totally see that.
Yeah, no. So
have you gotten to it yet?
I haven't gotten to it yet.
I'd be curious to see. Do you have your backlog?
Literally driving home, I'm like, what would I start if I started something next? It's between. It's actually between Pikmin and Bayonetta, or Bayonetta Origins.
Yeah.
Because I know both of those are like 15 hours long.
Right. Yeah. Good choices.
I also had like I said, I'm like, oh, let's buy Xenoblade 2. But if I bought that, I'd probably get it digitally, and I don't want it staring me in the face.
If you were to get that, can I recommend something weird?
Play Torna first?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've said that
because it's like a 15-hour experience, and it's a prequel, and it's better.
Yeah. See,
it'll get you in the mood. It'll let you get through the somewhat painful first act
of Xenoblade 2.
Yeah, the annoying children characters sticking their boobies in your face.
Yeah. Fucking. See, you saying that makes me remember that I have Persona 5 that I didn't open to, and Fire Emblem Three Houses that I have not opened.
Oh, that's right.
So I have stuff waiting for me to find time to play it. Now, on top of that, I have Final Fantasy VII to finish. I have a lot of other shit just kind of waiting for me. But
that's all right.
I had my time where I had zero backlog, and that time was great. But now I'm back to I have money that I can spend.
I think it's gonna. I think as we've been seeing, it is genuinely kind of slowing down.
Yeah,
Xbox hasn't really released anything in a while.
It's not even with the releases. It's more like it's like I think I'm just cool with buying games and having them waiting for me when I'm ready to play them, rather than waiting to buy them when I'm ready to play it. Which is my rule.
That
used
was
to
your
be,
I remember.
Yeah, my rule used to be I only buy it if I can start playing it that weekend.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's like,
if something goes on sale, you want to take advantage of the sale.
If something goes on sale, if I know I want it, I may as well just go ahead and get it, because I don't have the same guilt.
Yeah.
I don't have the same guilt for buying something that I'm not playing, because I don't feel like I've wasted money. I've reframed it as the money that I spent here is just money that I get to utilize. It's an experience I get to have later. Yeah. You can do that with books. You can do that with fucking anything. It's like putting books on a shelf.
It's not a bad idea, because you never know when something's going to go wrong, and you're going to be out of money. And it's nice to know that you can cut back on certain expenses, because now you have a collection of shit that you can go back.
I can just go back to and even if I don't open the shit, well, okay, great. Now I have gifts, or now I have something I can just sell if I decide otherwise.
Yeah, multi-use.
And then digital stuff that I buy ahead of time is just I'm pretty confident that anything I buy digitally right now on the 3 consoles and PC will come forward with me.
Yeah.
I haven't lost anything yet.
For sure.
I'm going to be straight up. Haven't lost anything. It's only Wii and Wii U stuff that hasn't been... and 3DS, of course.
And PS3.
And some PS3 stuff is funny because you get the license for PS1 games that happen to be on PS5.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, that counts. But
not MGS4.
Yeah, you can't buy that digitally.
I know.
You know there was no digital version on
I'm fully aware.
Like, the game's cheap as fuck on a disc, which is fortunate, but holy shit.
Yeah.
They never released a digital version, which is, when I think about it, it's crazy as fuck.
Pain.
But you can install the entire game to the hard drive now from the disc, so you don't have to do the installs between every chapter.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, every act. But yeah, what the fuck was I saying?
More games should be $40.
Oh yeah, cheaper games, shorter games.
Yeah.
And I think...
And it's okay to not like a game.
It's okay to not like a game. And I think not every single one of these short-ass games needs to be... Like, just pointing somebody... Indie games are over there is not good enough. I don't think that's good enough. Because there are people, myself included, who don't get, like... Not every indie game gives me the fulfillment that I'm looking for.
I think people gas up indie games hardcore because it's like a morality thing. And they're like, oh, don't support the big companies. They're not giving you what you want. Don't support Pokemon. Support Temtem and Pow World. Like, they're giving you what you want. It's like, they're not.
They're giving you something, but it's not.
It's not the same.
It's really not the same.
It's not even a competitor. Yeah. Because they're too fucking smart to compete directly.
Yeah. The moment you realize it's not the same is the moment you realize, like, independent games that are smaller, cheaper, are a different kind of experience. They're not a replacement.
Right. It's not a replacement, and it never will be.
Yeah, it's not. And me personally, I don't think they're supposed to be. I think they're demonstrations of what a person or a group of people find fun, and what with whatever resources they have can present that fun in a package that makes sense for them to make, a package that makes sense to sell, a package that makes sense for people to buy, and that doesn't require the multi-million, sometimes approaching $1 billion commitment that a lot of the AAA games do. Whereas the big AAA games are they're a sort of experience that people, certain kinds of people like. There's a certain polish with a lot of them, and some of them don't meet that. But there's a certain polish and a certain presentation and a certain feel to that kind of game that you can only get with a game made by a team of like 50 or more people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 50 or more very talented people working in orchestration.
Yeah, working in like decent conditions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get fucking games made really fucked up.
Please.
Yeah, for real. Like these games, every single Xenoblade has come out on quote unquote underpowered hardware, but it's like blown that fucking hardware out the ass. So it's just like it can be done.
Xenoblade Chronicles X running on 1 gig of RAM is fucking crazy. It's like actually crazy when you compare that to fucking Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah. I mean, Xenoblade 1 running on fucking 3DS, dog. Come on now. Yeah, that's the other end of it. Scarlet and Violet are McDonald's food. Yeah. It's like, I think I've said this before. Like, they're made by a big company, but they're...
To feed the lowest common denominator, which is like a 3-year-old like drooling in their mom's lap. Just one like cute thing.
Exactly. The games happen to be expensive too because they're the same price as any other game. Right. But people buy them, and it's like they're delivering you a game that has all of the salt that you want. That's what you're buying McDonald's food for. It's fucking salty, and sometimes it's a little sweet, but it's not... It ain't good food. But that company has a lot of money because... They're giving you food that ain't good.
And there's also no replacement for it.
Low quality, yes. But there's
like you can't get a McDonald's hamburger. You can't get a Big Mac. You can't make your own Big Mac. Like,
exactly. Like it's hard once you try to go to an alternative, you realize it just isn't the same. Like Temtem.
And sometimes and to your point, you have to go in like acknowledging that, and you'll have a better time. It's like, I'm going to have a healthier burger. Like I'm going to make a nice burger. Maybe I'll make it with buffalo meat. Maybe I'll make a chicken burger or a turkey burger. Right. And it won't taste the same, and it's not supposed to. It's going to be a different thing for a different purpose.
This coexists. It doesn't. There's no way it replaces it. But if you're going to fucking Burger King for anything, I swear you are hurting yourself. You need to stop doing that. Do not go to fucking Burger King. If I ever compare something to Burger King, like if I ever like equate something to Burger King food, that's bottom of the barrel shit.
It's Jover.
If I say this is the Burger King of something, it's fucked. It is fucked. Like, but
oh my god.
But
Yeah.
a couple other things I'm just going to bring up.
Right.
Starfield is 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X now. You should give it a second try if you didn't already.
Was it updated?
Yeah. Game's got
Is this the first DLC?
and the DLC is not out. This is just the
not out
first
yet?
major update. It's got maps now. 3D maps.
Interesting.
That kind of remind me of
Metroid Prime?
Not Metroid Prime, but Doom.
Oh, okay.
But Doom Eternal specifically. But even then, the map in Doom Eternal is basically just Metroid Prime's map, but more readable. So I think if you bounced off of it because of playability things, different playability situations in Starfield, I think if you still have the game, you should just give it another shot and see how you feel about it. I think that
or
game
if you
has
have Game Pass.
Yeah, if you have Game Pass. I think that game has a lot of fucking problems. A lot of just problems with the way it exists. It's really soft, if you know what I mean. Like, it's the edges are rounded off for some reason. Like, they don't need to be, and it's a little too clean and sterilized. But if you can bring your imagination into it and make the space travel feel like you're doing things, make the space travel feel like the parts you can't see are something you can imagine. Like, oh, I'm jumping from this part of the map to this part of the map, but these are the things I'm thinking about as I do that. So this is what I'm going to do, how I'm going to execute my plan on the planet that I'll land on. And then when you're on those planets, there's a lot of nothing, but can you commit to building the resource harvesting plants and whatnot on these planets and feel like that you're creating a network around this galaxy to make the world, make your experience your own, even including the way the main story ends and things like that. I think you can get a lot out of Starfield if you're willing to give it a shot, but you're not going to get this. Like, again, with things not being the same, it's not Fallout and it's not Skyrim. It's its own thing, and I think the next try they get at it, if they do give another try, I think will probably serve the player base a little bit better, because I can tell with this game, in 2 or 3 years, it's going to be something completely different. From the people adding, people modding it to just the updates, quality of life updates that the game gets. It'll be a completely different game than it was in September of last year, and I think, unfortunately, it came out just way too fucking early.
Yeah.
But I think
early access.
Yeah, exactly. I think that $70 early access that was hyped way the fuck up for no reason. And of course, the game of the year, it missed its chance at that kind of shit.
Game of your nomination.
But yeah, for real. But for real though, the same shit happened to Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, people love Cyberpunk now. If you
and that
ask
was
them.
by a studio that was way more hyped and gassed up.
Yeah, they had been hyping this game up for 8 years at least, and they had
the Witcher 3 studio.
They had inserted a tie-in to to Cyberpunk from The Witcher 3. Like, somebody in the game has a dream, and they mention shit that happens in Cyberpunk. It's like, oh, what the fuck? It's funny, but yeah, no. Games take too fucking long to make. I get releasing it when you think it's ready.
Nintendo is acknowledging it now.
Yeah, and Nintendo just out loud said games are going to take longer to make. There's nothing we can do about it. People asking for higher fidelity just means games are going to take longer to make, and that's
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we both said if we were getting games that look like
PS3,
PS2, PS3 games forever, just the frame rate's evened out and the
just give me new ideas.
Yeah,
just give me new fucking ideas. Going back and replaying the Metal Gear Solid games has been such a breath of fresh air. Yeah. There's still no fucking game like Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, for real.
Down
really,
to the
honestly,
gameplay. I'm not even just talking about the weird themes and shit that it was prophetic on. Like, I guess Death Stranding is the closest, but Metal Gear Solid 2 definitely sticks the landing of being a unique, fluid, approachable thing,
right?
More than Death Stranding, even.
But when the limitation is the medium rather than the expectations, I think you end up able to make a product that's more resonant, because the limitations of a piece of hardware can bring your expectations into a more realistic territory, which then makes it more reasonable to do things that do special things, whatever tricks you have to do to get them to blow past those expectations, and then you have a more of a, for lack of a better way to put it, transcendent experience. Whereas if you put out MGS2 on PS5, it's different. Like the game is still great, but some people will kind of expect it to be.
Right.
If you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I mean, if MGS2 was a brand new game.
Right.
So I don't know, but yeah, I think
There's
that's
no
enough
good
for me.
answer.
Yeah,
The bar has been set. The genie's out of the bottle. Pandora's box has been opened.
Yeah. Nintendo tried to fucking close it with Wii, and they actively did so.
Yeah.
And they closed it for themselves for the most part, because you still have people complaining about the way the Switch is, and then they buy it. They buy 141 million.
It's funny as
of
shit.
them. It's like, I think it'll be all right, but yeah. So
That's all I got.
yeah, that's all I got.
We can talk about Metal Gear Solid once I finish 4.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
maybe Peace Walker. Or maybe 5.
Yeah. Well, we're
I
not
never
gonna
touched those two games.
We're not going to talk about Peace Walker unless you play it on PS3.
Does it have to be PS3?
It has to be PS3, so you can call me in.
What if I can connect RPCS3 to the network?
I doubt that's going to work.
It works.
With a PSN account?
Yep.
Does it actually?
I don't know, actually.
That sounds like a
Well,
really.
I saw some shit. I didn't go dive into it because I haven't gotten to that game yet.
Yeah,
But
that sounds like a bad idea.
you'd be surprised.
No, I
You
wouldn't
can
be
you can
surprised.
jailbreak shit and connect it with a PSN account. And they don't fucking know the difference.
Well, we'll see. I feel like it's not a great idea, but we'll see. I just think if you're using an account that has shit tied to it that you've paid money for, then I don't think you should.
Yeah, I
do
mean,
that. Granted, you can play
it all depends
PS3
on your
games for
comfort
free
level
still,
of
so,
risk. So
yeah.
all right. Higher fans, tell me about the decompilation of N64
Oh
games.
shit. Yeah. Okay. All right. I forgot the one in particular that I'm thinking of. What was the guy's name? It's like Wise Boy or some shit. I don't remember.
Yeah, something along those lines. Let me see if I can find it while you.
Yeah, they created basically an application that you can take your copy of Majora's Mask. Currently, it's just Majora's Mask, but later it's going to be Ocarina of Time too. You can drag that into this application that is created, and it's like translating and decompiling the game so you can run it as a PC game. So you can play it at the native resolution and frame rate of your computer. You can do it with whatever controls you want. You can modify it,
Mr. Wise Guy.
how you want. Mr. Wise Guy. There you go. And it's an interesting way to be able to play these games because you're not emulating. You're just using. You might be using your ROM. That in my case, I've ripped all of my N64 games, so I have a legitimate ROM of Majora's Mask from my own cartridge that I bought back in 2000 to use with this, and seeing it at 60 frames per second is fucking strange. But even then, it works. There's a Linux distribution of it, so you can use it on Steam Deck without any translation layers, just the one that they're using for the for what I'm talking about.
I mean, it's going to be hard to know without like diving into the code.
Yeah,
but,
you
like,
have to see. You have
how the
to.
fuck does it work? It seems extremely promising, at least for all of N64.
Yeah, and the intention is for it to be usable for all N64 games.
Yeah, and I
down
imagine
the
that
line.
will also extend now into whatever these methods are to Super Nintendo and anything that people want to build ROM hacks and other shit for.
And like I can't say how it works because it's not something I've ever done, but you kind of have to just. It takes really.
Is it installing something?
What do you mean?
Like when you download the files,
Yeah.
what is actually running?
When you download the application, which then will.
So it's an executable?
It's an executable, yeah.
Okay.
Which then you put your ROM into, and it'll spit out a PC, a functioning PC version of it.
So it's doing the translation layer. It's just not doing it at runtime. Almost. That seems to be what it has to be doing, right? Because at the end of the day, something has to be like this. This is a piece of software developed for the specific architecture of the N64, right?
Right.
And so it goes through something, and then it spits out something that says, "Okay, now it's actually doing this for Windows.
It's set up for
or Linux
to work in Windows, or whatever. And I think what it takes. 'Cause a lot of these decompilation projects of the individual games take years and years and years to do,
Right.
because you have to go like sometimes you have to go line by line and figure out what the fuck is what
Right.
what is this,
Like
and
down to like the voltage settings.
Yeah,
It's like taking into
and
account.
manually address all of that stuff. You're not like manually addressing CPUs in the PS3. I mean, like address it like the way you would address problems. You just like, how can I translate this bit, like literal bit, to work the way it does on an N64 and have it work that same way on a PC? And I don't know the process of it, because like I said, I've never had anything to do with that. Like, it's not the same as just it's not the same as porting a game like that.
It's doing something, and the reason why it would be extensible to other N64 games is that he has to be doing something where he's basically mapped out the architecture of the N64
thinking, yeah.
kind of like an emulator.
Yeah.
And he's just determined that like, oh, if we reroute these cores and this memory allocation and whatever and these blocks to these components on a Windows PC, everything should think that it's running on an N64.
Yeah. And I don't even think
in a way that I guess isn't emulation.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it needs to think that it's running on an N64, because obviously it's code that doesn't think. It's what you're doing is giving the same math to the PC in the way a PC understands it,
right?
Rather than the way giving it to to a PC that's pretending to be an N64. It doesn't need to pretend to be an N64, because it's getting everything at the same way.
Right. I guess that's my point. Is like, to me, the difference is just where the translation is happening.
Yeah. Okay. At runtime, I understand exactly
is
what
the
you
emulator.
mean.
It's like it's running, and every time that you're doing something, it's trying to calculate it as an N64 and then spitting it out.
Yeah, and that's CPU heavy. That's what happens when someone speaks one language and they're trying to speak in English, because they have to think back in their own language and then speak it in English.
Right. But now
they just know English.
Yeah. They basically thread it through an interpreter, and now they're just reading the English.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
I would still be curious to know how this application is different from the other recompilations that people have done.
I mean, something about it.
Maybe I'd be willing to bet that the other recompilations are just kind of like gatekeeping. It's people being like, "Oh, I recompiled it. I did all the math, and I converted N64, language to Windows."
I don't know about
And this
that.
guy is just like, "I'm just going to give you the map, the legend.
I think
to do this own decoding on your own."
I don't think so. I don't think that at all. I think this is the product of so many people doing decompilation projects, and this person probably helping with those, probably having to do with a lot of them,
just creative
that
one
they
to rule
understand
them all.
like where basically to round things off.
I feel like that's where I'm imagining that the difference here is, in the past people were doing it for individual games. Here, I feel like he's done it for the N64
doing it for
itself.
like the way
it's almost like he's
games
decompiled
are
the
made.
N64 to be Windows
because
executable.
they've gotten Superman 64 working this way, so you can play it in widescreen and play it in high resolution.
Maybe that's got to be something like that.
But that's probably just proof that it even works that way. Yeah, just like I said, without talking to the person, I don't think there's any way to really know.
Maybe Mr. Wise will be our first guest.
Maybe. But look, for real though, I'd hire.
Oh yeah,
I would hire. That
for
seems
sure
extremely, extremely fucking valuable for making, for bringing older games, especially older 3D games that need that really could benefit from resolution bumps and frame rate bumps when it comes to newer hardware. I think that would make that process a lot more.
Absolutely.
A lot easier to overcome without having to use CPU heavy emulation, because like on Switch it's a Switch, and N64 emulation is pretty CPU like dependent to get it to work right. So you have to be very clever to make that happen. And if you can cut that work out and just be like, this is an N64 game made for your console, we spit it out in like 6 months rather than 4 years.
Yeah.
Then
and frankly,
2 years,
I feel like it enables all the other fans that people are like, Nintendo, hire this man.
Yeah.
To go and make their like funny haha mods
Yeah.
and ROM hacks and shit like that.
And
they can do it in Windows now instead
I was
of in
gonna
fucking
say,
N64, whatever the language is.
These ROM hacks, you can, well, this might be skirting too close to stuff, but you make a ROM hack and you, instead of having to run it through an emulator, you just make a native PC version.
Yeah.
And then it's good. It runs a certain way. You add ray tracing to it and you're like, this is so different that...
You throw it on the fucking Discover store on Linux and you're good to go.
All right. Just throw it on a flash drive and pass it to your friends. But okay.
All right.
Yeah, that was a hire.
Yeah.
All right.
Good shit.
Yeah, just
let's bring it home.
Yeah, bring it up.
All right. If you like this content, give us an email at thememoryleakpodcast@gmail.com. Give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. Hit us up. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and YouTube. Subscribe, smash the buttons, all of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, we're good. Until
next time.
Turn it off.